Welcome, Bearcats and parents. Today we'll be covering the topic of division representation. Before we get started on the workout for tonight, let's review what division representation looks like. Division can be represented in three ways. We can see division with the obolus, the division sign. We can see it as a fraction with a fraction bar, or we can see it with the division bracket, or sometimes called the division house. If I had a problem of 18 divided by 3, I would write it as 18 divided by 3 with my obolus. As a fraction, 18 is what's being broken or split into groups. It would go on top. It would be my numerator, and my denominator would be 3, which we have discussed that our denominator tells us how to split, break up, and group things. It tells us how to do it, so it is going to be on the bottom of my fraction bar. We also discussed on yesterday the technique in which we can translate a fraction bar and put it into a division bracket called Tybo. Tybo means top in, bottom out. So my numerator would go inside of my house and my denominator would be outside of my house. Each one of these says 18 divided by 3, 18 divided by 3, and 18 divided by 3. These are the three ways in which division can be notated or represented. Tonight we have word problems for our workout, all dealing with division representation. Number 2 says, during a science investigation, 15 students divided 6 pounds of potting soil equally. Written with a division bracket, how many pounds of potting soil will each student receive? So it tells us here how our answer should be written with a division bracket. Now we need to go back and see what are we trying to solve, or what is the question saying? How many pounds of soil did each student receive? So soil over students. This is a division problem, and one of the biggest things we need to realize when we're reading a word problem is, one, make sure we understand what they're asking us for. We want to make sure we have all the information we need. Sometimes some information is important, sometimes some information is extra, and that we also know what operation. So in this problem, they told us that it was going to be divided, so we know our operation is division. They told us that there were 15 students, and we had 6 pounds of potting soil. Again, if the problem did not tell us we had 15 students and it was going to be divided among the students, then we would have to think, in a realistic world, are we dividing students? Are we splitting them up? Are we breaking them down? Or would it make more sense for us to be splitting up the potting soil? Of course, we are splitting up the potting soil. That would be our dividend. Thus our numerator, and the 15 tells us how we're splitting it up. So first I'm going to write it in fractional form. 6 is going to be divided by 15. That would look like 6 divided by 15. And our answer we want is in the bracket. And again, if I remember Tybo, I know that 6 will go in the house and 15 will go outside of the house. So on this particular problem, I did more than what they asked me for, but I wanted to clarify that I knew what was being divided in this situation. On number 4, it says, Logan split a rope that was 28 inches long into 5 equal pieces. So Logan was splitting a rope. That's important. It was 28 inches long, and he wanted it into 5 equal pieces. Then the next part says, Leroy split a rope that was 32 inches long into 6 equal pieces. Which boy's rope was cut into longer pieces? So the question, we want to know which boy's rope was cut into longer pieces. But remember, this year we are giving you the answers and we want to see your work. So if you continue reading, it says, use your knowledge, it should say of, division notation and improper fractions to show why Logan's rope was longest. So I already know that Logan's rope was longest. Now all I need you to do is to prove to me why it was the longest. So Logan had 28 inches, and I'm going to write Logan here, and I'm going to write Leroy here. Logan had 28 inches of rope. That is what is being divided. That is my dividend. I need to split it into 5 equal pieces. That's telling me how to divide it. That is my divisor or my denominator. Leroy had 32 inches of rope, and it needed to be divided into 6 equal pieces. Again, dividend, divisor. I can use my knowledge from yesterday to make this improper fraction into a mixed number. It will be easier for me to compare. So we learned on yesterday to make an improper fraction to a mixed number, we need to divide. So again, Tybo is coming into effect. 28 will go inside of my house. 5 will go outside. And I'm going to try to work dually on Leroy's side. I will have 32 and 6. I know that 5, how many groups of 5 are in 28? That would be 5. That's the closest. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to subtract, and I would have a remainder of 3. On Leroy's side, how many groups of 6 in 32? I know that the closest I can get to 32 would be 5 times 6, which is 30. I subtract, and I would have a remainder of 2. Remember, we need our quotient, remainder, and divisor to write our mixed number. For Logan, Logan would have 5 and 3/5 of rope. Leroy would have 5 and 2/6 of rope. The next thing I would want to do is look at my fraction pieces because they both have 5. So which one would be larger than the other? I need to look at my fractions. Is 2/6 larger or is 3/5 larger? I know that 2/6 can be simplified. I can have a common factor of 2, and it will go into 2 and into 6. I'm just going to throw this here so I can have a clear working space. 2 will go into 2 one time. 2 will go into 6 3 times. This will become 5 and 1/3. If you know how to convert a fraction to a decimal, 5 and 1/3 is 5.33. The 3 is repeating. And if we go back to Logan, we want to compare. I'm just going to slap this in the middle for a second. It's 5 and 3/5. And 5 and 3/5, 3/5 is 60 hundredths, so 5.60. This is Logan. This is Leroy. Which one of these numbers is greater? Logan. So this is the work that's needed to prove why Logan had the longer rope. Logan had 5 and 3/5 rope, and Leroy only had 5 and 1/3. Logan's is the longest because he had 6/10, which is greater than 3/10. I hope that this helps you, Bearcats, and that you are successful tonight with your workout. Good luck, Bearcats!